Good morning. Welcome to the Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We are a spiritually diverse, justice-seeking community with one great aim: to grow in love. Love for our neighbor, love for ourselves, and for our planet. I'm Gwyn Reid. I will be your celebrant for today's service, and I'm joined by McGinnis and our musician, Liza Long. Our minister, Reverend Sarah Lawal, is off today and will be back in the pulpit next week. Today is Father's Day, and I say, Happy Father's Day, with these words adapted from Amy Jones. We hold love for those who have lost fathers and for those fathers who have lost children. We acknowledge and hold non-binary, transgender, and cisgender dads and dads in families made of two dads, foster and adoptive dads and single dads. We hold and work to lift up all fathers of color and those fathers raising children of color. We hold fathers kept apart from their children by borders and war. We hold fathers and children who have lost connection, children who have been disowned, or abandoned by their fathers, and the father figures who step in. We hold those longing to be fathers. We hold those who may be full of questions about their biological fathers. Most importantly, we hold and thank the dads, the papas, the daddies, and all who show up every day to give their all to the children who need them. Human relations are complicated. These days of recognition are complex. Please take a moment to breathe in what serves you and breathe out that which does not. Welcome to those joining us on Zoom. Let's everybody turn to the cameras that are up there and wave to our Zoom community. And we have the ability to see their beautiful faces on our screens here in the sanctuary. And so if you're comfortable out there in Zoom land, just turn on your cameras and turn everything to the gallery view and give us and each other a wave. I really should be waving up here. If you are seeking something larger than yourself, or you are in search of your own heart, you are welcome here. If you believe that all the religions of the world are right and true, but none is entirely right, nor does any religion have a corner on the market of truth, you are welcome here. If you believe each of us has to seek the truth in the possibility of science and religion coexisting together, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, however you identify, however you pray, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. If you are curious about our fellowship or Unitarian Universalism, you're invited to join our series of Inquirers classes. The next Inquirers class is next Sunday, June 23rd, and the topic for that Sunday is congregational life. And you don't have to be a newcomer to come. We know it takes a lot of courage to cross the threshold and to enter into a new community, either in person or virtually. So to our newcomers, we're especially glad you've joined us today. We invite you to introduce yourselves after the service in our hospitality room or in the chat on Zoom for those who have joined us on Zoom, and fill out a newcomer card so we can keep you connected with all that is happening in our fellowship. Each week, we light our flaming chalice, a symbol of our free faith, a beacon of hope, love, and justice. We join in this lighting in solidarity and community with thousands of Unitarian Universalists throughout the country, lighting chalices today in churches, homes, and in virtual worship spaces, reminding us that we are connected to one another and to a larger community of faith and love. And as I light the chalice here in the sanctuary, for those in our virtual community, if you have a chalice nearby, you're invited to light it with us this morning and then share in the chat where your chalice has been lit. Now, I'd like to invite everyone to please rise in body or spirit and join us in our gathering hymn, Morning Has Broken. The words will be on the monitors, and it's also in the gray hymnal, hymn number 38, Morning Has Broken.
As we gather together, we acknowledge that the land upon which our church and homes exist is the ancestral land stolen from the people of the Shoshone Bannock, the Shoshone Paiute, Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai, and Nez Perce nations, along with many other tribes whose names have been lost in history. We acknowledge that our presence here today is founded upon the exclusions and erasures of many indigenous peoples. With this acknowledgement, we wish to demonstrate our ongoing commitment to the work of dismantling the legacies of settler colonialism. We honor Indigenous peoples' connection to the land and support their right to sovereignty.
Our spiritual theme for this month is benediction, the practice of pronouncing blessings. As Unitarian Universalists who recognize many paths to the holy, a blessing can come from anyone, anywhere, anytime. Each of us holds the power to pronounce blessings, to honor and celebrate that divine spark that lives within us, around us, and beyond us. For today's service, we are blessed to have our very own Mark McGinnis, who will share about was that his daughter on Father's Day? Let's all give a hoot, hoot. Okay. Mark will share about his newest artistic project, Animal Senses, reflecting on his observations and sharing his paintings of some of Earth's amazing creatures. And in the spirit of our monthly theme, next week's service theme is Blessing the Animals and Summer Solstice. If you would like to have your beloved, well-behaved pet be part of a special blessing, that's the service for you. And so I want you to know that our dog Molly will be an honorary well-behaved pet because we want her to be blessed. Look for upcoming announcements in this week's booth notices. As we enter into this time of worship, let us take a moment to take a collective breath together. Fill your body with breath, knowing that our breath connects us to one another, to our bodies, and to our planet. Our breath offers us the opportunity for stillness, to tune in to our spiritual center, to listen deeply to our heart's own longing. As I read the words of our beloved Second Person Intimate by Reverend Kendall Gibson, I invite you to imagine that the thines and thous, that most intimate of second-person pronouns, are addressed to a specific critter of your choice. Thou art the song of my heart in the morning. Thou art the dawn of truth in my soul. Thou art the dew of the roses adorning. Thou art the woven whole. Thine is the grace to be steadfast in danger. Thine is the peace that none can destroy. Thine is the face of the need-riven stranger. Thine are the wings of joy. Thou art the deep to the deep in me calling. Thou art a lamp that lights where I tread. Thy way is steep past the peril of falling. Thou art my daily bread. Thine be the praise of my spirit uplifted. Thou art the sea to each flowing stream. Thine be the days that are gathered and sifted. Thou art the deathless dream. Our call to worship this morning is The Calling of the Creatures by Ian W. Riddell. Come, hoof and tail and horn and paw and wing and claw. Come, bird and reptile, mammal born, all full of nature's law. Bring bark and crow and ribbit too, and silent stare and hiss. Bring purr and trill and warble too, and voice no ear can miss. We gather here, each life and all, to celebrate and sing, to honor creature large and small. 'Tis holiness we bring. To honoring creature large and small, come, let us worship together. As we move into our time for our all ages, I'd like to invite the children in the room to come join us up front as Mark shares one of his stories.
Good morning, children. I'm Mark. Would you like to hear a story? Ready to go. This is a little book I wrote a couple years ago and painted the pictures for, and one of them is up there. And that's the story I'm going to tell you. It's from the very last story of the book. And it's called The Beauty Contest. One day, the old man was sitting on his porch of the little trailer, feeling rather bored. Then he had a strange idea. I will have a beauty contest among the birds, he thought. That should be great fun. The following day, when he had scattered the seed and the birds were at their peak, eating away, the old man called for their attention. Friends, said the man, I will hold a beauty contest of all the birds here tomorrow, and I would like you all to participate. There was some nodding of heads, mainly among the pretty birds. But from behind his back, the old man pulled a golden bowl overflowing with sunflower seeds. There was gobbling, clucking, cooing, chirping, even a caw from high in the pines. They all stared at the bowl with awe and desire. Make yourself as beautiful as you can. We will see you here tomorrow for the contest, the old man cried out. The following day, all of his usual birds were there in their splendor, and new birds who had just heard the word as it spread throughout the forest, and the fantastic trophy. They had all cleaned and shined and preened and pulled out the loose feathers to smooth themselves perfectly. First, an enormous tom turkey pushed through the crowd to be judged first. He puffed out his iridescent body feathers, and they reflected a dozen colors on the feather's surface. He fanned out his huge tail, and turned his head red and blue and white. The great bird looked rather smug, as he could not imagine anyone surpassing that beauty. Next came the quail, with his complex pattern of gray, black, rust, and cream feathers that dazzled the eye. Then the bully stellar jay pushed his way through the crowd and strutted with his black head and blue body. The shy mourning dove came next, meekly laid down with its simple tanned feathers, but looking closely, one could see the neck and chest feathers gleamer with the subtlest colors of the rainbow. Great beauty indeed. The parade of contestants went on. An orange and white and black towhee with his elegant tail and red eyes. A bright blue, orange, and white lazuli bunting. A red crossbill. A jaunty little red-breasted nuthatch. A stately white-headed woodpecker with a bright splash of red on the back of his head. The yellow and black and white grosbeak. The march of beauties continued with many lines of tiny hummingbirds who did not even eat sunflower seeds. But they rivaled that huge turkey in their beauty. Finally, all the birds had presented themselves to the old man, whose head was swimming with all he had seen. Now he contemplated his decision. Suddenly, all the birds' heads turned and looked down the steep driveway, and strutting up came the strangest bird any of them had ever seen. The birds parted as it walked through the crowd up to the old man. Its body was dappled with different colors and different kinds of feathers of red, orange, blue, yellow, gray, white, tan. And from the bird's back extended long turkey tail feathers. And a strong black beak protruded from the head. Yes, it was a big mountain raven. And she seemed to have the slightest faint smile on her face. As the other birds had been preening out unwanted feathers to prepare for the contest, she had collected them and stuck them into her feathers. The old man laughed and almost fell out of his chair. He pulled himself up with his cane, took the trophy bowl to the raven. He said, "You may not be the most beautiful, but you are the most artistic. You deserve the trophy," said the man. Still laughing, the old man hobbled up on his cane and laughing went into the little trailer. The birds glared at the old man's back, and then they glared at the raven. One said to the raven, "You won this contest with our feathers." The raven ignored them all, shook the feathers out of her body, dumped the sunflower seeds out of the bowl. She doesn't eat them. Took the bowl in her beak, spread her great wings, and flew off to her nest, where she put the glistening bowl with the other shiny treasures she had collected. Do any of you have favorite beautiful birds? What are they? A beautiful bird. Nobody. You all hear? Oh,
My mom doesn't like birds, but we have a bunch of birds that fly around our house.
yeah?
And make nests in our big tree out front.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fun to watch. The little ones are coming out now. They're fun. I watch birds a lot, and I find that every bird I watch has its own individual beauty. Every one, down to the sparrow. And when I look at you and you, everyone has their own special beauty. Every one of you. And it's important to remember that about yourself and those around you. Thank you.
Today's children's religious exploration theme is change and nature. Please join us in our community blessing. May your mind be open to learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace. When we give, we say yes to the natural cycle of abundance in our lives, and we say yes to building beloved communities within and beyond our walls. We commit ourselves to work for justice and compassion for all people and for our earth. Today, we have the opportunity to share these gifts with our plate partner, Jesse Tree of Idaho, whose mission is to keep families in their homes and to avoid becoming unhoused. 25% of the unpledged plate offering will go to helping Jesse Tree prevent the traumatic, life-altering experience of eviction and homelessness from happening to our neighbors. I invite the ushers to come forward. Our offering will be gratefully received. I invite the ushers to bring the offering forward. Please read along with me. We bless these gifts so freely given. May generosity always be our companion as we walk the holy path toward ever greater compassion and beauty. Each week, we take time to acknowledge the many joys among us and to grieve our many sorrows and losses, so that we might lift that burden for each other and receive the blessing from this community. It is through our sharing with one another that we forge deep bonds of community and connection. I'd like to begin with these two joys. Peggy Lynn shared that Carissa Benoit, who was sitting up here a little bit earlier, has earned her safe babysitting certificate from St. Luke's this past week. Did you hear that? Congratulations, Carissa. And Teresa Vale shares that 1 year after graduating with a master's in data science, she has found a job in the field as an environmental data analyst. She's thankful for all the encouragement that this beloved community has given her as she was struggling to find a job. We've all been there. And Diana Barrera-Lowe shares that she had a bad fall in her backyard. Her lifeline alarm didn't work, but thanks to her yelling, her dog went berserk. Love those dogs. Causing her neighbor's dog to also go crazy, and thanks to all the ruckus, her neighbor came out to check and came over to help. Diana, we wish you well and are grateful to your canine friends for saving the day. If you are holding someone in your heart this morning, I invite you to speak their name aloud into this community of love, that we may hold them with you. May the arms of this community hold all our joys and sorrows, those named and those that remain silent close to our hearts. May we feel the grace that surrounds us and be transformed by the spirit of life and love, with warmth to celebrate our joys, and with gentleness to soothe our aching hearts. Breathe with me. Fill your body with breath. Breathe into this sacred space. This sacred space filled with loving kindness. Breathe with wholeheartedness. Listen to what is calling you in the silence. This morning's reading is a poem, When I Was, by Mario Milosevic. When I was a bear, I filled the world. My paws were wide and I walked large. I ate all summer and slept all winter, dreaming of the time when I was a dragonfly and I wove the world. Darting through air, skimming over grass, hovering on water, my compound eyes embroidering my dreams of the time when I was a turtle and I carried the world. Walking slowly with the weight, squat body on 4 thick legs, hard shell holding me in, keeping my dreams of the time when I was a salmon and I fed the world. Sleek skin sliding down river throats, pink flesh nourishing my cousins. I swam upstream where death took me, and I swallowed my dreams of the time when I was a tree and I held the world. Roots gripping soil, branches embracing sky, my vision encompassing dreams of the time when I was a raven and I sang the world. Single note struck from my throat, pushed into air. The sound, a call to listen to the unseen and honor my dreams of the time when I was a bear, when I was a dragonfly, when I was a turtle, a salmon, a tree, when I was a raven. And now I'd like to invite everyone to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our Music for Reflection, hymn number 175 in the gray hymnal, or the words will also be on the monitors.
It all. We'll use the podium mic. Good morning, friends. Situated. I'd like to tell you a little bit about a project that I'm currently working on, and it's about animals. And it has 3 components: animal senses, animal intelligence, and animal emotions. I've finished the first part, animal senses. This is the first 15, and this is the second 15. So there are 30 paintings. The size is given to you a little better here on the easel. They're painted on glue-sized Osnaburg muslin, and the medium is acrylic. What inspired me to do this project was something I ran into in my readings, and it was a concept called Umwelt, spelled U-M-W-E-L-T. It's a concept that was developed or elaborated on by a early 20th century to mid-20th century biologist by the name of Jacob van Uexküll. This concept really grasped me. It's something that I should have been much more aware of in my life, but like so many folks, I'm pretty human-centric, you know? I kind of think, well, everything must experience the world pretty much like I do. This project has taught me that is so false. It's kind of like a bubble, a sensory bubble. And creatures all experience what is in this bubble according, of course, to their senses. And the uniqueness and the differences of animal senses is just overwhelming. So many creatures experience the world very differently than we do. And the way that I create my projects, not all of them, but usually my best ones, is that I do a lot of research. I like to research. I enjoy it. And I then put those into some type of written form. In this case, it's short essays, 400 to 800 words, and then I create the painting. The research is first because it has surprised me how much the research informs the painting. As I said, 30 so far here. I'll tell you about 4 of them. And the first one is mice. Mice, you know, they've got eyes, nose, ears, mouth, just like we do. They certainly don't experience the world much differently, do they? When many people see mice, the first thing they think of is, get rid of them. A mouse has 1,200 kinds of odor receptors. Their olfactory sense is something we could never imagine. If you deprive a mouse of its sense of smell, it can undergo a wide variety of mental problems. They can go into depression, anxiety, bipolar, even schizophrenia. And that's almost pretty much true also of their sense of taste. So necessary. Their taste buds are so acute, and they have a way of being able to experience tastes together, multiplying that sense of taste. The sense of sight seems kind of disappointing for mice. They have only about 1/100th of the acuity of what we see. And they're what basically you would call colorblind. They see into some greens and blues wavelengths, but not the rest. But they have tremendous night vision. They can see into the dark much better than we can. And of course, that suits them, right? They have evolved that so that their nocturnal activities into your pantry can be done very acutely. They have a wonderful sense of touch. And again, if they're deprived of their sense of touch, they can also have mental problems. They have a tremendous whisker system around their head. We really haven't looked at it, but it's this wonderful circular aspect. And they can experience their world. They know acute information by those whiskers, detailed information from what's around them. And again, that helps with their nocturnal activities. The hairs kind of send a spatial map to the brain of what's happening. The mice have poor low-frequency hearing. They can't hear well in low frequencies, but they hear incredibly well into high frequencies, well into the ultrasonic range. And they use ultrasonic sound themselves to communicate. Now, I triple-checked what I'm going to tell you next because it does sound like I'm plagiarizing Walt Disney. Mice sing in ultrasonic frequencies. They have about 100 notes that they use. Males sing different songs, females sing different songs, males sing love songs. And if the female likes it, she sings back. If not, she moves on. They seem to have literal conversations in ultrasonic, where one talks, the other talks, and they never step on one another. They wait until the other one's done. Yeah. Finally, and so help me, this is true, mice laugh when you tickle them. Another very common animal in our experience are pigeons. And pigeons were domesticated about 5,000 years ago in what is now Iraq, and primarily for their homing instinct that we'll touch on a little later. When we see pigeons, they're kind of waddling around and their heads are bobbing, and they kind of look like dumb birds, right? They don't look like they're all that bright. Just the opposite. They are incredibly smart, one of the world's most intelligent birds. One little thing I bumped into in my research that I gravitated to for obvious reasons is that they can tell the difference between Impressionist and Cubist paintings. And they tend to favor Picasso. During World War II, 52 medals were awarded to animals for their bravery and service. 32 of those 52 were given to pigeons. In war efforts throughout time, the homing aspect of pigeons in carrying messages has been so important. I wonder if they're using them in Ukraine. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't. Racing pigeons developed in around 200 AD in Italy. The U.S. has about 1,500 racing lofts, But in Taiwan, 500,000 people are involved in pigeon racing with billions of dollars in prize money. And with this, it shouldn't be surprised that they have trouble with doping, kidnapping, and ransoms. A Chinese breeder paid $1.9 million for a racing pigeon. Pigeons' sensory worlds are nothing short of wondrous. They are among the top 10 best hearing animals in the world. Their sense of hearing is just incredible. Their low-frequency hearing allows them to hear storms coming way before they're here, earthquakes way before they happen, volcanic eruptions long before they spew. Their color vision is extremely fine. And in addition to the color range that we experience, they can also experience ultraviolet and polarized light. Pigeons can process visual information 3 times faster than humans. The homing sense that I mentioned before, there's so much research done on this, and I mean down to nanotechnology that has been done on pigeons to try to understand this magnetic homing sense. And it is, the magnetic waves of the earth is one of the things that helps them go back and forth to find their way. But their sense of sight is no less important in that they literally make visual maps of what they fly over. And then they also make olfactory maps of what they fly over, their sense of smell. So you put these 3 things together, the magnetic force, the seeing, the hearing, they have a tremendous sense of memory of space and direction. One of the questions that I kind of asked myself as I did this is, why do they go home? I mean, you let a pigeon go and they can go anywhere they want, right? But they do go home. And to me, it made, from a human-centric point of view, that pigeons like home. That's where their mates are. That's where their offspring is, their siblings, their friends. The next time somebody calls you a bird brain, which they do me all the time, you might answer them, thanks. Or possibly, I wish. We're going to go even lower to an invertebrate for the next one, the earthworm. Earthworms, I mean, senses, they don't have anything, you know? They don't have eyes, they don't have nose, they don't have mouth, they don't have ears. Earthworms can be from 1/2 inch long to 9 feet 8 inches long. Southeast Asia. Don't worry, they won't get you here. They live from 4 to 8 years. Rather long life when we think of an invertebrate. They can think and make decisions. And this was proven by Charles Darwin. His final book that he wrote was on earthworms. And they always block their entrances to their dens with leaves and twigs and make sure that they're protected. They have really a sense of sight. Their body is covered with sensors that can perceive. They've been called little eyes. They have chemoreceptors that can sense the different chemicals in the soil around them. And this gives them basically a sense of taste and smell. And they have mechanoreceptors that basically can feel pressure and movement around them. So that's their Umwelt, right? That's their sensory world that they perceive. There are about 7 million earthworms for every one of the 8 billion people on Earth. They aerate the soil, improve water drainage, recycle nutrients, aid in soil structure, create high-quality fertilizer. Aristotle called them the intestines of the world. Again, Charles Darwin wrote in that final book that he doubted whether there was any creature on Earth that had played a more important role in the history of the world. Should earthworms not exist, most other life would perish. Little respect next time, huh? Finally, we'll talk about an animal that is a little more exotic, but beautiful. This is the naked mole rat from East Africa. Many people think it's the ugliest thing they've ever seen. Kind of a poorly stuffed sausage with saber-toothed teeth. They are also one of the most incredible creatures on this planet, or I should say under the planet. They live in colonies that are as much as 6 foot down and up to 2.5 miles in length, with multi-levels, all these separate chambers for different purposes. The colonies can be 300 rodents. By the way, they aren't naked mole rats. They have no hair, or they are not hairless. They aren't rats, and they aren't moles either. Biologists have a little hard time once in a while in their naming process. We go back to this colony of 300, and it is a eusocial community. This is like bees. This is like termites, where this colony is ruled by one queen. This is very rare in mammals. And this queen is quite incredible on her control. With bees and so on, the rest of the females in the colony are kept sterile or unproductive through pheromones, right? Scent. Well, that doesn't happen with this group. The queen keeps the others infertile through stress. She puts so much intimidation into the air that they simply don't reproduce. When one becomes a queen, its body changes. It elongates so that it can produce more pups. One queen produced over 900 pups in her life. They live in really crowded colonies. And this crowding causes a very low oxygen level in those tunnels and a high carbon dioxide level. It's so low and so high that it would kill or brain damage almost any other mammal. But these creatures are long-lived. They live a long time, and they have very few age-related maladies, cancer and so on. This has caused scientists to open up their eyes, right? and they want to know what's going on here, and they're a highly studied creature. In terms of their sensory qualities, they have developed almost no sense of sight. They can see a little change in dark and light, but where they live, they certainly don't need it. They can hear into low frequencies, and they're very talkative, and in their youth, very playful. There are around 18 vocalizations, and this is, again, mind-blowing. Each colony has its different dialect, so that you can tell, man, really right away if somebody's in there that shouldn't be. And second, and this is the mind-blowing one, when a new queen takes over the colony, which is often a very violent thing, the dialect changes in the colony. They have a very acute sense of smell, and it's used a great deal in social interaction, recognizing and taking social cues. They have a very highly developed sense of touch. And it's kind of like the mice I told you about. They have whiskers all over their body. Not a lot of them, but they've got them. And these are their tactile information of what's going on around them. The amount of information brought into the brain by these whiskers are really quite remarkable. Another aspect that has scientists very curious is the fact that these rodents do not sense pain, or very little. But they can be poked and pierced and whatever. Those signals don't go back to the brain as they do with us. And that has ramifications that people would certainly like to know about, myself included. Naked mole rats are a good reminder of the old adage, don't judge by appearances. They may seem repellent to some, but they are critters of great wonder and mystery. I would do the other 26, but I've been kind of squelched on that, so. The second part of the project is animal intelligence. And those are the first 5 that I have done in that series. And the research has proven just as interesting and remarkable. There is a 6th one down here, the orangutan, and it has unfortunately been misunderstood on Facebook, and they've been taking it as a self-portrait. I just finished her on Friday, just on Friday. So there's the sensory Umwelt, that sensory world that everyone lives in. And it's not just by species, right? It is by species, but it's also by individual. No one has the same sensory properties. So we all are living in that uniqueness. But there's also an intelligence Umwelt, where our intelligence qualities and development also create a different world and how we experience it and understand it. The third Umwelt I'll do is the emotional sphere. How our emotions change our experience of the world. And boy, they do. They sure do. And as I've been working on this just lately, another bubble came into my mind, and that is that all creatures, I believe, also have a spiritual Umwelt. Animals. I watched animals in the wild a lot from my little trailer in the mountains, and I see them sometimes just stand or sit and observe, quietly experiencing the world around them. And that is a kind of Umwelt. Now, how that differs in species and so on is something there is no research on. And hopefully in the future, it will come around. But I'll end with a quote by Eckhart Tolle, the great mindfulness teacher. And he once said that he had lived with many Zen masters, all of them cats. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Please join me in the spirit of prayer. This is from Gary Kowalski. We give thanks for the animals who live close to nature, who remind us of the sanctities of birth and death, who do not trouble their lives with foreboding or grief, who let go each moment as it passes and accept each new one as it comes with serenity and grace. Enable us to walk in beauty as they do, at one with the turning seasons, welcoming the sunrise and at peace with sunset. And as we hallow the memory of good friends now departed, who loved abundantly and in their time were loved, who freely gave us their affection and loyalty, let us not be anxious for tomorrow, but ask only that kindness and gratitude fill our hearts day by day into the passing years. Amen.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, or Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the trees to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. Everybody sing along. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, or Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. The bare necessities of life will come to you.
Friends, I invite you to rise in body and spirit as you are able. Place your hands over your hearts for our closing blessing. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean, the bare necessities. That's why a bear can rest at ease with just the bare necessities of life. Yeah, with just the bare necessities of life. We extinguish the flame of our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Blessed are we all. Go in peace.